Hey everybody, it's Sean from Ridesharing101.com. Please check out the website. And if you like the videos, please subscribe or please leave a comment if you so feel inclined. Today, I wanted to talk to you about tipping. And not about whether you should have a tip jar or a tip sign, but kind of if there's anything special that you do to try and get a tip. If you encourage tipping, what's the best tip that you ever got? Kind of things of that nature. And I bring this up because I had a very sweet elderly Asian lady the other day that really wanted to give me directions and clarify everything. Like, oh, you're turning left up here, correct? And we're going down, this avenue. And I was like, yes, ma'am. And I was very kind and, polite because she's elderly and she wasn't being mean. So I wanted to be very respectful because I understood where she was coming from. She just wanted to make sure that we were getting to where she needed to go. And I got it. And she was sweet and she reminded me of my grandma. So anyway, at the end, she tips me. She gives me $1 and one of those little Milky Way Halloween candies, the little half candy bars, which I thought was great. I ate the candy bar right away. I of course I thanked her, and I always appreciate cash tips, even if it's $1. That's a soda at 7-Eleven. I can find a coffee at Burger King or McDonald's. I can find something I can buy for $1, and it's always appreciated. Early on, I remember I picked up this gentleman from the docks. He was a deckhand. He was a fisherman. And at the end, he gave me this sort of crumpled dollar bill, and he handed it to me, and he's like, I took it, and he's like, I'm sorry, bro. And I looked at him, I'm like, why are you sorry? And he said, well, it's only $1, but it's all I had. I just got off the boat. And I'm like, oh, no. I said, I don't know. I'm sorry if I looked quizzical. It was just because it was crumpled up. I said, I told him, actually, most people don't tip. And I was just very surprised to get a tip. And I appreciate it. So thank you very much. And he's like, oh, yeah, sure, of course. I always try to tip. And I know other people... they've posted on the Facebook page and they've gotten some interesting things. I know some people have gotten some concert tickets or a plant. And I'm just kind of curious as to whether any of you have gotten any special items. And if you have, let me know. What did you get? Also, what, is there anything you do to sort of encourage tips? Do you have a tipping sign? Do you have a tipping jar? Do you talk to your customers about tipping? I know quite a few people say, "Oh, I'll take care of you, bro. I'll make sure I tip you in the app." When people tell you they're going to tip you in the app, they generally, I found, never do. So I find, if people are going to tip you in the app, they just tip you in the app and they don't, they don't tell you. So, and I always like the cash tip. I always appreciate it because it's money that you could spend. And the people that tip you in cash, it's very surprising. I've taken a woman 10 blocks to the Target and she's tipped me $3 before, which I was just, wow, $3 tip for that short of a ride. I know people that have tipped me less when I've taken them to the airport. And a couple of times really early in the morning, I've dropped somebody off and I'm like, oh, you work at Blue Bottle or you work at Starbucks, or you work at Pete's? And they're like, yeah. And I'm like, oh, dude, you should have said something. If I knew that, I would have traded you a ride for a cup of coffee and a croissant. And they're like, oh, I'm like, yeah, lead with that next time. Lead with, I work at Starbucks, and we'll work something out, So, barter is a great thing. Tipping in cash is a great thing, and I appreciate it. And I'm just kind of curious as to if any of you have gone out of your way for a cash tip and what you got, or if you got anything interesting like a plant, as I mentioned before, concert tickets, or a meal or something from somebody that works at a restaurant. And do you cultivate tips? Do you talk to people about tipping? Do you, what do you do? Do you do anything to encourage it? And how much do you guys make? I know that I'll have some days where I don't get anything in tips. And there are other days where I'll make 5 $1 tips, which is a lot if you only make 10 rides. The one thing I have found is business travelers seem to tip the best. If you have people that are out here on work, they understand the value of good service, and they tip, and they generally tip. They'll tip a percentage. That's why you'll see an odd number in the app, like you got a tip of $7.68, or $3.44. So they'll tip 10%, 20%, or a dollar amount. And that's usually the business travelers. I don't know if they can expense that, but they recognize the value of good service, and I always try to make sure I put in the extra effort for those passengers. I give everybody good service no matter what, and I'm friendly, and I respect, whether or not they want to talk or whether they want to be left alone. But I always give, good service. So I'm always happy when I see a tip has been added, and I'm always just a little bummed out when a tip doesn't show up. And I've had times where, I've gotten a tip 5 days after the fact. I'm like, I got a tip. I'm like, from Monday last week. It's Tuesday today, and they tipped me for Monday. Wow. A week ago. That's very, very strange. And I can't remember the person, and I try to put it in context, and because sometimes I like to look and I can see where I went. I'm like, oh, that guy. Oh, really? Wow, he tipped? I would have thought it would have been that trip before, and that guy didn't tip. So, tipping is always interesting. It's kind of a little game, and I think it's interesting just to kind of figure out who tipped, who didn't, and try to figure out why, so I can kind of correct that and change my approach. Excuse me. One thing though that I do that I found helpful is I'm always friendly to people. Oh, hi Jim, come on in. They're like, oh, thank you. But I always say this after I verify who they are. You Jim? Yeah, okay, I'm Sean. Hey, yeah, come on in. And then when they get in, I always say this. I always say, welcome to my car, or welcome somehow always fits in there. And I found that you say, hi, Jim. Oh, okay, great. Hey, I'm Sean. Come on in. They're like, okay, thanks. Then I say, welcome. And they're like, oh, thank you. People pause for a second when you say welcome. And it's different than, come on in, or thanks, or, oh, hey, good to see you. Welcome does something. It's a mood changer. It puts people in a kind of warmer frame of mind. So try that. Try that next time somebody gets in the car, you verify who they are. Say, welcome to my car, and see if that brings you any, tippage or, change in attitude. I stumbled upon that, one time somebody got in. I was like, oh, hey, welcome. And their reaction was, they're like, thank you. And I was like, oh, there's something going on here. So I've been experimenting with that for the last 2 weeks. So just, keep that in the back of your mind. Try it. Let me know what you think. Let me know if it works for you. All right. I think that's about it. But think about tipping. Think about how you approach it. Think about how you interact with your passengers, because tips is the difference in how much we get paid. So thanks for watching, and drive safe. Talk to you soon.